Hello everyone, I hope you are well. It's Christine here and I'm back for our stitch along, and we are continuing with folded ribbon roses. We'll be doing a rosebud tonight, or I'll probably do a couple of rosebuds, but I thought I'd first show you how you can also use thinner, more gauzy ribbons as well to make your roses. So let's just use some of this, which is very, very thin, as you can see. It's got a beautiful sort of goldy sheen on a more... It's almost an underlying pinky brown, so I'm thinking for my thread I might use a brown because white or pink might stand out too much. So we're going to fold down 2 centimeters as we did before, and then we're going to wrap 3 times to make our center of the rosebud. And I think I'm going to put my stitch in halfway up the ribbon so that I actually don't want the full width of the ribbon. So I'm going to put 3 stitches through the center to hold that in place with the thread that I had ready with a knot in the end. Then we're going to fold over as we did yesterday. So fold the ribbon back on itself and then do a wrap. And then I'm going to put my next stitch in. Put a couple of stitches in to hold that in place. And then we're going to fold back on ourselves again and do our wraps. So this is a lot easier to stitch through because it's a much thinner ribbon. So if you do struggle, if you've got hands that don't like or can't push the needle through as much, here's an option. Find a nice gauzy sort of ribbon to use. So folding it back over itself again and doing the twists. And then again capturing and holding it in place with your thread. Oops, try not to catch the end. So I'm hoping by working halfway up the ribbon it will just not get too thick. So I'll probably do a couple more rounds because it is quite gauzy. So it is quite thin, so I can get quite a voluminous flower without too much thickness. I'm not sure how well the gold sort of sheen's showing up on camera, but it's really beautiful and it really catches sort of the light on the petals. So it's I think this sort of a ribbon, if you have any in your stash, don't go out and buy it. Obviously, just work with what you've got. This is just experimentation, our little stitch along dictionary of stitches. You might be amazed what you've got in your stash if you have sort of, presents that people have given you, and like me, if you sort of keep the various ribbons. I have a lot in my ribbon drawer. So I've just snipped that end off so it's not in our way. I'm going to put a few more holding stitches through, I think. And I'll just anchor that little endy bit out of the way as well. That final little sort of half petal. I think that's pretty securely held now. Stitch in to tie it off down there. And then we can trim away the base of it, I think. Hopefully this ribbon, I don't think it frays sort of too much. But yeah, that's again, I'll just tease it out a bit, and when we're putting it onto the fabric, I think we'll be sort of scrunching it down a bit anyway and anchoring it in. But I think that's going to go beautifully. Nice little array of ribbon roses there. So I'll leave that attached to its thread. And then I've got another ribbon, again, just out of my drawer. You can see it's got a bit of wear on it there. I just ironed it to get it flat. And we'll use this to make our little ribbon rosebuds. And then we'll assemble it with the little leaves that I've cut out. So just getting some thread to thread the needle. And just threading the needle and then putting a knot in the end of the thread, running the knot down my thread. Okay, and so we're going to, again, same method. So we're going to hold the ribbon, we're going to fold down a section of it and hold that with our right hand, and then we're going to do 3 rolls around the centre to make the rosebud. So we're again going to secure it the same way by putting some stitches in once we've done our rolls. Maybe one more roll. So I'm going to put stitches through the base. Just do 3 stitches for certainty. And I'll get rid of that little endy piece. I should be using my small scissors, not my big giant galloping scissors. And then we're going to, with the left thumb and forefinger, fold the top edge of the ribbon back and down. So you're folding it over itself, and then you're going to wrap in an anti-clockwise direction, allowing the angled edge to angle towards allowing the folded edge to angle towards the base. So you're basically just making a wrap. And then you're going to secure, and that's going to be our little rosebud. So we're not going to add more to it. It's just going to be a little bud. And we're going to try and not catch the base as I just did there. Good-o. We're just going to, so that's where you've got it angling towards the base, so you've got it coming down, so you can just put that stitch in and have it finish off. There we go. One more stitch for certainty, and just put a holding little stitch in, tie a knot with that stitch, and again I'll leave that threaded, but I will take off the excess from the base. And so that's our sweet little rosebud, which will go nicely with our set. And we might make one more rosebud, so I'll just need to thread my needle again. A knot in the end, so just doing the method where you put some twists around the needle and then slide the knot down. So then folding down and doing our wraps around the fold for 3 rounds to make the center of the rosebud. You can obviously do a few more wraps if you want as well. It's all flexible. Then we're going to put stitches in to hold in place, 2 or 3. Okay, so now we've got our ribbon roses and rosebuds, and what I'm planning to do is to arrange them around these little leaves, which I have cut from this piece of wool woven fabric. It's got a sort of a fluffy feel on the back, and then this woven finish on the front, and I just cut 3 leaves out from there. Oops, I've just picked up one of my it went flying off with the wool, and I've actually just used a tiny bit of Yoo-hoo glue just to hold them in place, and then I've actually done a fly stitch over these 2, but I'll show you the fly stitch over the 3rd one and talk about how I'm using it to stabilize it. And what I'm then thinking we will do is we'll arrange the little roses down here, and I think I'll put the rosebuds just sitting above like that. But let's get the leaf stitched down first. So I'll put the rosebuds and roses off to the side. So as I mentioned, I've just tacked that down with a tiny bit of Yoo-hoo glue, and then I'm going to bring my needle out, which just has a single strand of embroidery floss in it in a green colour, and I'm going to bring it over from the end of the leaf and bring it down a little ways. So I'm bringing it from the tip of the leaf, the outermost tip, bringing it down a little ways, and then we're going to start doing fly stitch, which we've done recently. So I'm going to come across from the left-hand side, come across from the right-hand side and angle my needle down and pop out where that little piece of thread came down to before with the thread under the needle. So I get a loop, and then that's going to give me my first little vein shape. I'm then going to take the thread further down the leaf, down the center vein, and take that to the back, and then I'm going to repeat that maneuver slightly further down the outer of the leaf. So I'm actually coming through outside of the leaf because I want to hold the leaves nice and flat with these stitches, which will just stop them fraying, because this woven fabric could fray, but because yeah, it will be kind of held in place and encapsulated with these fly stitches. That should work pretty well, and it's also giving that lovely detailing, subtle detailing of the veins of the leaf. So another stitch, angling the needle across, popping out at the centre with the thread underneath so we catch it. That one's just caught a bit further up the side, there we go, and then anchoring our centre vein down to anchor our fly stitch down, and then we'll add a few more. Although we won't be able to see the very bottom one, I don't think, because we'll have the flowers in the front of the bottom stitch. So I think I can probably take it down to the bottom from there. So I'll just tie that off at the back. And now I can probably actually use... actually, no, I think I'll use pink thread just in case it does show through. Just use some of my regular pink sewing cotton that I got from Alex's mum. So good having all these cottons, and I've got big reels in similar colours as well, so definitely not going to be running out of thread. So we'll do our little tying a knot. Okay, so I think I'll start with one of the outer. Just need to check exactly where I need to position it. Oh, it's got a fluffy bit on it. I might just chop the little fluffy bit off. So I think something like that. So holding this one about there. I'm not a fan of pins, so I'm going to try and do this without. Oops, it just popped out. I know that I need to anchor it about there, so I'm going to bring my needle through, and then I'm going to put some stitches in to hopefully start to hold these little slippery suckers down. What movie is that from? Pretty Woman, is it? I think it is. Okay, just get them broadly in place. I might put this one in on the other side first. Just pop through over here. Sorry if it's a bit hard to see. I could have put this in the hoop, but I think it's going to be a bit easier for me to manipulate, albeit I've got probably too much fabric around. And then I might put a stitch through this one, and then we can kind of get them all in place. And then, yeah, I think I'll just bring a stitch through from the back, and then I'll put it through the rose. So hope you're enjoying this slightly different, not embroidering straight on fabric, but creating, I guess, sort of stump work pieces, really, because they're pieces you create off the fabric, which I think is the definition of stump work, and then you attach them to your fabric, and they're usually dimensional sort of elements. So there we go, that's the first of them down. Now I wonder if I should put maybe I will pop through and put a stitch in the rosebud, so at least we kind of get everything positioned, and then more stitches can be added later. But at least you'll be able to see how it all starts to come together. And then I'm thinking I can make some smaller leaf stitches if I need to sort of cover the bases, but I'm hoping if I can kind of stitch these in, and I'm using my mat underneath to kind of push the needle in, and then I'll be able to put some further positioning stitches in just to get them exactly where I want. So I'll put another little stitch through on this side to capture the other rosebud. I'm not sure how this will go in the book. It might be a slightly more dimensional element, but I could always have it as a little flip out or sort of bookmarky piece, or, use it on a cover, or yeah, I'm sure I'll work something out. I do like it though. It's good to have these little feature pieces, because then you can make your own little extra elements. I'll have to add some of these to my treasury of stitches, I think. So I'll just add a few more. So now they're kind of broadly in place. I'm going to just bring the needle through a few times from the back to the front, just trying to sort of take it down broadly where it already is. And then this one I'll just position over a little bit. Maybe I'll catch a bit more of the bottom of that one just to sort of swing it around a bit, see how that goes. That one I feel I might need to flashen it, but I might do that with a brown piece of thread just to pull it down a little bit into the fabric, but I can do that afterwards. The photo you'll see on this video will be the finished piece. I don't want to take too much of your time, because I'm trying to keep each of these videos relatively short, so it's not too much of a time commitment for you to be participating. Although hopefully you might be stitching away while you're watching, either stitching along or working on something else and then coming back to repeat these stitches. I'm filming this on a Saturday because I don't know what my working week's going to be like, so I'm going to get my videos. I've already got some videos for the week that I'd actually made in Bright when we were on holidays, but I've got to add a few more to the repertoire for the week ahead. So I wonder if that's pretty good, I think. This bit probably of this rose should be sitting up a bit more or taken down. I probably need to just tease that out a little bit, but I think that's a pretty lovely little arrangement. I could even, yeah, and I can probably have that sit down a bit more. Have the rosebuds sit out to the back. I can get this one to squisharoo down a little bit, but otherwise I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I might bring it across a little bit more like that with a few more stitches, but I won't make you watch through those. Hopefully, hopefully you're a bit inspired by that to make your own little bouquet. Or as I say, you could make a wreath around it as well. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow for turning the page of the book, Four-Legged Knot Stitch, a new one for me. I will see you then. Thanks, folks. Bye.